Welcome to Objections with Stan Willis. I'm Michael Morris. With me, as always, my best friend, Stan Willis. Stan, hi. How are you?
I am.
Why are you laughing about that?
I am.
Everything I just said is
so
true.
Happy to be here.
Well,
I can't imagine any place I'd rather be.
I feel like you're
given the choice.
I feel.
I mean, this is like freaking Disney World to me, man.
This is your dumb show, okay? So you have to do it. Nate and I would do this show without you, but you're like, nope, it's got my name on it.
Yeah, well, you know.
I wanted to ask you about things that have names on it, like the Biden Pen Library, and they find all these files, and then they go to his house and they find all those files. They found files in 5 different places. Have you ever lost your wallet that many times, and it's just coincidence?
No, I haven't.
So what's the difference in Trump took classified materials to his pad, and then Biden has them spread out like Hunter Biden's women? Sorry, I just heard that it was said by a poet.
I think you answered your own question there.
Well, there's a lot.
Can you play that back? Was there a question in there? I'm sorry, I lost it at Hunter Biden's women.
I just want to take a dig at that dirty bastard.
Yeah, well, you know.
Well, both of them. Here's my question. Why is everybody now saying, don't freak out, it's not as bad as it looks? He's allowed to do that because he's the vice president.
I just think it's funny because politics has always been a dirty game, right? It's always been a nasty game. You read about the stuff that happened in the late 1700s and early 1800s, and you're like, holy cow! I mean, it's just crazy. Well,
who was the one that he ran and said his opponent was dead when they were doing whistle stops to train? And he said he's been dead for months.
He's been dead. And then there was the one in Louisiana where he said that the guy was a Homo sapien and his wife was a thespian.
Yeah.
And people just didn't know what that meant. So.
Right. And they're like, they're into some weird shit. But don't you think it's odd
but I'm just saying, politics has always been a dirty game. We have always tried to pretend like it's really not a dirty game, but it's always been a dirty game. And it's funny because it used to be that they tried to pretend like it wasn't a dirty game, and that they tried to, like, things weren't scripted. But now it's just kind of humorous. It's like, okay, so we find Hillary Clinton's server in her bathroom.
Right.
Okay. Then then suddenly, we're worried about Trump, so we raid his house and find all these files that he's not supposed to have. And then, wouldn't you know it, suddenly we find all this crap that Biden's got strewn all over his freaking yard.
I didn't
and
think
wherever.
about the Clinton part of this because I just forgot about that because I'm still not with her. But what I think is, this is the part I find odd.
So do you want to be with her?
Again? I think Hillary would rather be with a lady. But
I don't think that's true.
Huma Abedin. Anyway, what I find odd about
Huma
this
only
one.
likes perverts, so you'd fit right in.
I'm all right with that. I'm not going to back away from that compliment. What I find out about it is normally it's the opposition finds this. It's his own side is saying, hey, guess what we found? That's the part.
So does that mean it's now time for us to dispose of Joe?
We can't shoot him.
Does that mean? I mean, well, I'm just
Wait,
wondering.
are we allowed to? Nate, Google, can we shoot the president?
I mean, this kind of stuff. It used to be that, like I said, that they tried to hide things and they tried to make it look like it was an accident, right? But anymore, they're just. Yeah, we found all this stuff. We've known about it for years.
But you've seen the video where he does that old man thing with his Corvette and he's backing in the garage. The box is sitting there, and on the top it says "Top Secret."
Right.
Now, I thought it was the popcorn thing, so I didn't care.
Top secret.
But then it's a box of documents. And then on top of that, Hunter, super good guy, filled out an application to pay his dad rent of $49,000 and some change. in a house valued at, I think they were saying the rent would be $1,700.
Well, he can afford it because he sold all that art a couple years ago.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he sold us out to the Chinese and
No,
Ukraine.
he sold no. He sold all that art because he became an artist there for about 6 months and was wildly popular amongst the people who want to talk to his dad.
Who would you buy? Would you buy a painting from Hunter Biden or George Bush?
No.
Okay. So, do you think that this is purposely getting out now because they found this material, the original documents they found before the midterms? They said, well, we can't release it because it'll upset people. Okay. So, at this point, are they doing this because now there's 2 years of investigation and then he won't be able to run again? Or are we doing this so everyone has stolen documents that's running against each other and it's an even field?
I mean, who the heck knows? It's,
But do you see why it's confusing?
I'm just saying it's not accidental,
Right.
but I don't have a good theory. I mean, it's like when what's her face? I'm drawing a blank here.
Halle Berry.
No.
Is she a politician?
It's like when somebody who's a really awful person.
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin gets killed in strange circumstances.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it and you go, well, we know somebody killed him. There's a million people with motive.
Right.
Don't got a good theory, right? I mean, this is kind of. I mean, you've got an aging president who is patently deteriorating mentally and is most likely not in a frame of mind that is adequate for running the country. I mean, you just watch him in news thing. It's not a secret. Nobody's really going, oh yeah, he's the sharpest attack. I mean, he turns around and shakes hands with ghosts. But
I would stop having those things where he's supposed to shake hands. You saw where he told the guy that was at the what's it called? Not Old Navy.
Yeah.
Salvation Army.
Right.
Around Christmas time, he walks up to the guy and he goes, "I was just with the Secret Service last week. Good bunch of guys.
Yeah.
I was in the Secret Service."
Yeah.
And the guy's like, or
yeah.
I think he claimed to be in the Navy is what he said.
Right.
And the guy literally is there to collect toys. It's like he's just wearing a costume. He's not a real guy.
Right.
But it's like he's caught on a hot mic and the guy's his hand is up like he doesn't know what to do. And he just freezes and he goes, "Oh, okay." This is worse than when Lloyd Bridges was the president in Hot Shots.
Right. Oh,
Hot Shots Part 2.
It's actually you never really thought that Hot Shots was going to be prophetic,
Right. Well, that's
but what I'm saying is, so you have a president who's obviously incompetent or
and compromised.
Yeah, exactly. And you have Trump, who you don't want to run again, right? So the Democrats and most of the Republicans don't want Trump to run again. And you don't want to have a situation in 2024 because Trump's already said he's running again, and nobody in the whole freaking country wants a choice between Joe Biden and Donald Trump at this point. Nobody does. And if you're the Democrats, you're looking and you're thinking, can we get in? Can we even with our ballot harvesting machine? Are we going to be able to get enough votes to get Joe Biden elected again in 2024, even if he's running against a yellow dog? So I think that you've got a lot of different people because, the Republicans, some Republicans, there's still a few of them in Trump's camp. They want to protect Trump, so it would be great for them to have this same because what are you going to do to Trump? I mean, you've got arguably the misplacement of the documents that Biden has is arguably worse than what Trump did.
Well, because it's 5 times more documents.
Well, it's more documents. It's less protection.
It was locked in his garage, as he said.
Right. Well, I mean, but Trump's were like in an interior room in like a safe or something like that. And like
in Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
We couldn't get into Mar-a-Lago if we paid $100,000. Right. They wouldn't let us in.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not defending Trump. That's not what I'm doing here. Because
why are you wearing that Trump T-shirt? I'm kidding. The people that aren't watching on YouTube will think that's real.
Oh, sorry.
Are you still riding with Biden?
No.
Okay.
No, none of those. Still hoping for Tulsi, although she was on Tucker Carlson.
She's
hosting.
On Tucker. Yeah.
Hosting.
See, I think she's going to get in the TV world.
To me,
I don't think she's going to run.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Get in the TV world, you could be, as long as you don't make any major
have more
mistakes.
influence.
Yes, but I think
how else to explain Rachel Maddow having the wild influence that she has?
What I see with Tulsi is I think there's a different avenue that's opened up where she can be in that space, she can make money, and she's out of the bullshit.
Right.
Because both sides, what I find odd is you have a female veteran who wants you to get out of wars.
Right.
Getting attacked by Democrats.
Right. And Republicans.
Well, the Republicans also. But I'm saying you can't win. So the only way for her to get forward would be as a vice president to be on the ticket. Right. So you're used to it, right? But now you're talking 8, 10 years out to get to the presidential thing. And who knows what happens then.
Right.
What I see is I think this is clearing the deck for DeSantis no matter what. Because
it is, but I think the interesting thing, and this is just pure speculation on my part. I don't think this is what it is, but let's say that whoever the people are that are kind of running the Biden administration are looking at this, they're going, this guy's now become a major liability. So we really need to move him out of the way. So then maybe this is the way to move him out of the way by, putting him in a position where he's got something that, say the House decides now to impeach him over this. I mean, now you've got something that potentially you could get a couple Democrats to jump sides and the Senate and stuff like that. So what if they're saying, okay, this is just a way to move Biden out of the way because he's too arrogant to step down. He's talking running again in 2024,
which is insane.
So maybe this is a move him out of the way. So now the question comes: do they want
them
Kamala Harris to be their girl or their candidate in 2024?
Specific.
Yeah, their non-gender specific candidate in 2024.
How could that be?
I suspect that they don't. I mean, she was not a popular candidate when she ran.
She wasn't popular in her own state.
No, she was running like deep.
Well, she was with Willie Brown.
She was running like 5th or 6th in most of the primaries. I mean, she was.
Well, you and I tied her in the primaries.
Oh, really? In Iowa, right? Yeah.
And so she did. She was going to drop out.
And the Scarecrow also got some votes.
Basically, all the people listening to this show tied Kamala Harris when it came to that part. But
the vote getting but what I'm saying is, okay, so you have this possible theory that people in the Democratic Party are trying to do this because Biden won't get out of the way, and so they're trying to set up something for 2024 because they're going to need to run somebody who can compete with Trump if he runs and DeSantis if Trump doesn't run.
Well, let me tell you what I think. This is how I think the dominoes are going to fall.
Okay,
Biden won't leave. You got 2 years where they're going to, or year and a half, whatever, where they're going to investigate him. This is going to move on past that, where they're still going to look for Hunter Biden or Biden, all their connections with Ukraine and China and all that.
Right.
While that's all going on, he's still in office. So I think what happens is Trump runs, DeSantis runs, Harris will probably end up, since she was vice president, running, and DeSantis wins.
I wouldn't be surprised if Harris doesn't run, but go ahead.
Well, I don't think it matters because here's what I think is going to happen. You're going to see the Republicans try to do the same thing that the Democrats did and come up with. Now they came up with nothing on Trump.
Right.
This is not a defense of Trump, but nothing could stick to him because the P tape wasn't real. Russiagate, they had to admit after 7 years, wasn't real. The documents, his taxes, all that other stuff, none of them came to fruition. The point is, if DeSantis wins, but you flip the Congress back and majority are Democrat, that's who's really doing all the work, right?
Right.
Focus on those races. Who cares who the president is? Because when they had a supermajority, they didn't get anything done for the people anyway.
Right.
They pushed through war, and the Republicans voted, other than those 20, I forget what they call them, the super patriot. There's a name they called it.
The 20 or 30 Republicans that are kind of a caucus. They used to be the Tea Party, but now it's
right. It's not the same members, but it's more of that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert and all that.
Yeah,
I think the thing is to set up DeSantis to get in there. Mm-hmm. Democrats try to take control of the Senate and all that, and then they start picking his bones apart. Because Trump, I think DeSantis would win because what you've said before. He's not going to get all the Republican support because nobody wants to go through this again for 4 years. All the everyday speculation on he should resign and all this other stuff.
Is his hair really that orange?
Yeah, all that. I think people are tired of it. So
people are tired of it, but the news media needs it to come back because they got nothing else to talk about.
Well, that's the thing. So when you look at,
actually, and there's plenty of things happening for them to talk about, but for some reason they don't want to talk about those things.
Well, if you looked at the Golden Globes recently, that's your indicator of what's going on in the television landscape.
Right.
Had 900,000 viewers.
Right. But you know what? Wow, only 900,000.
Well, do you think that's bad? When Brian Seltzer,
the Golden Globes only got 900,000 viewers.
And think about how much money they put in to put that thing on, right? All the publicity they put in. My point is this:
I think we have almost that many.
Oh my God, if not triple. We're gonna have Nicole Kidman and her stretched out face in here. Ooh. What I'm saying is, when you look at that and you look at what the new, MSNBC.
Can we get Keith Urban instead?
I'm sure he's not that busy.
He's far more interesting.
He's wearing her jeans.
That's probably true, but he's still far more interesting.
Kind of lady boy.
And he's a much better guitar player.
You know what you should do if you're listening to the show? Google.
By the way, Brothers Osborne, you familiar with Brothers Osborne? So TJ, the guitar playing brother, just voted top 3 in the world. Top 3 in the world guitarists.
You know who number 4 was? Nathan Schoner.
Nathan was? Nathan, you demand.
Nate looks like a DJ.
I didn't even know he played. I thought he could only play the radio.
He can't do that. There's not even a radio in this place.
I'm just saying. I thought that's what his instrument was.
You got me off track, but I'm going to go back. When you said brother, I was like, better clean that up. So if we're going back to this, the Biden situation, I think this is to undo everything. So it's like we got him there, and now we're gonna empty out the closet, and you're gonna know how horrible a person this was, because nobody looks back and says, "Oh, I wish I would have known that." Mm-hmm. When you go back to the media part, they're gonna eat this up because they need something to talk about.
Right.
I think he's being fed to the lions wearing a bacon necklace, and they're like, "We don't give a shit about you anymore."
Well, but this is the thing that kills me. This is the crap we're talking about, right? So we have a war going in Ukraine, where it's really, really terribly hard to get good information.
It is fun
because you look at the Russian media, they're lying. You look at our media, they're lying. And so you look at some of the more independent kind of media, and you're not even really sure they're not lying. Right. So you're trying to read in between the lines and what's really going on in Ukraine. We can't really tell. The Chinese are struggling with a lot of stuff right now. We're not hearing about any of that. There's
their economy is going to fall in the toilet any minute.
Their economy is tanking. They're picking on Taiwan. They're having trouble with COVID. They're
small.
I mean, it's crazy. North Korea and South Korea are at the highest level of tension that they've been at in years. Like
A very Hatfield and McCoy, we can't get along, so let's nuke each other.
right. That's kind of where they are right now. That is a possible place of just incredible combustibility. The riots in Iran are causing a lot of issues, and you have this weird thing going on where Iran is giving weapons to Russia, and Russia is giving weapons to Iran, and now Iran and Turkey and Russia are trying to solve what's the problem in Syria. And
That we started.
and they're talking
USA.
about pulling out. So if you're Israel and potentially Saudi Arabia now, there's a huge potential threat against Israel and Saudi Arabia coming from Turkey and Iran.
Well, who started all this shit?
People are dying of starvation in Africa at numbers rivaling when it was back in the 70s and early 80s. Is just people are
One of the wealthiest nations on the planet, by the way, when you look at the resources they have, and they don't get access to it. Because guess who doesn't give them access? Red, white, and blue, baby.
Right.
We're going to take all that shit.
Right.
We're going to pay you next to nothing, and your people can't have it.
right. And then you have Saudi Arabia had a meeting with China, and then in Davos this weekend, the elites were talking about the very real possibility that the petrodollar is going to go away, like almost immediately. I mean, that's
Explain what that means, though, if someone doesn't know what that
so
means.
currently right now the dollar for Saudi Arabia and most OPEC nations, the dollar is the only way that oil can be traded. Russia recently said that they will only trade their oil in rubles, but pretty much everyone else is trading through OPEC nations or Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia influenced nations in dollars. That peg happened in 1970. So in 72 is when Nixon unpegged the dollar from gold. He didn't really have any choice in that because our gold reserves were dwindling and other countries were coming in and taking the gold. And so he was like, okay, I got to do this because otherwise they're going to take all of our gold. Within the next couple of years, they were able to convince Saudi Arabia through some protection promises that they should only accept dollars for oil. So what that essentially meant was that the dollar now had a chance at remaining the reserve currency for the world because you had a commodity that could only be traded in dollars that everybody needed. Yeah. So if they unpeg that, then the dollar will essentially no longer be the only reserve currency in the world.
Which is bad for the U.S.
It is. I think there's a lot of different opinions about exactly how bad or in what ways it's bad. I mean, one of the things that would do is that would prevent the U.S. from being able to just print magically as much money as we want and make everybody else take it. A lot of the deficit spending and stuff like that it would be a lot more difficult to do because we wouldn't be able to create the debt that we can create without being the reserve currency.
What an uplifting show.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, we've run out of time, and I feel like I'm going to hang myself.
Well, I don't want you to hang yourself.
Brought to you by Hangman's Ropes. We'll take any sponsor, really.
I was just saying, we have our news media is, all this stuff is going on in the world. And some of it may be bad for us, some may not be bad for us. But nobody knows about it because unless you read Zero Hedge, you can't find it. Because the news media is too freaking busy talking about Amber Heard crapping in Johnny Depp's bed. And
I could talk about that for hours.
And then lying to us about left-wing propaganda. Unless you're Fox, then it's right-wing propaganda that you're lying to us about.
It's all propaganda, baby.
And it's frustrating. It's a frustrating situation because there are a lot of things that people need to know, need to be thinking about. I think that you just can't get any good information about it.
When this show is over, which is now,
Okay.
I'm going to talk about like unicorns and stuff. I want to bring you
I
back.
love
I want you to
unicorns.
see what I mean? See how you perked up?
Love
We're going to
unicorns.
leave before we talk about anything else bad.
Unicorns and rainbows.
You've been listening to Objections with Stan Willis. Enjoy your unicorn.
And rainbow.